Respected principals, Dr. Suvidya Murli Madam, may I start the conference?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, respected participants, PhD research scholar, teachers, professors of Indian universities and colleges in India and abroad, scientists of research labs, patent holders, Doctor of Pure Science and Applied Sciences, Army Defense Department, Vice Chancellor of different universities, Police Commissioner who are pursuing the PhD, industrialist, college teachers and professors, all the resource persons, and respected principal of SK College, teaching and non-teaching faculty of SK College, NERUL, Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Today, we on dated 28 April 2023, one-day international multidisciplinary conference on role of emerging technologies in business, pure sciences, applied sciences, library sciences, law, engineering, humanities, social sciences, hotel management, home sciences, pharmacy, sports sciences, atomic sciences, space technology, aviation science, computer, IT, education, commerce, and management science and technology. This conference is organized by SK College, NERUL on dated 28 April 2023. Warm welcome all the participants in our today's international multidisciplinary conference organized by SK College on dated 28 April 2023. This conference objective and aim is to give the best platform for cultivate the innovative and scientific approach mind to do stronger and stronger the higher education system of India through doing the scholarly research publication, research paper presentation, research paper reading, patent exhibiting, for fulfillment of the requirement of the career announcement scheme and PhD degree requirement for acquiring the abroad and abroad universities and colleges jobs for betterment of the human lifestyle and the betterment the society. So SHRI Waghmare brothers always helps to conduct the international event for betterment the education system of India and abroad and provide the outstanding, excellent publication support for creating the scholarly educational excellence and the best educational content. I would like to announce that today's one-day international multidisciplinary conference have achieved higher success because of 155 plus participation have been participating in this our today's international conference. Total 2 research papers have been received from out of India abroad, and total 153 papers have been received in Indian universities and colleges, professors, scientists, PhD scholars, and industrialists, etc. I would like to thank SK College Principal Dr. Sri Vidya Murli Madam, Accuracy Coordinator Professor Shikha Pandey Madam, Rachna Desai Madam, and the entire team of the SK College for giving the tender and opportunity for our organization One Day International Multidisciplinary Conference with the collaboration of Sri Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company. I would like to thanks to our media partners that are Z Media, G Channel, Sony Channel, ABP माझा, Zee Marathi, local newspapers such as Lok Satta, Lokman, Times of India, Pudhari, University News, etc. for done the wonderfully marketing of the today's international multidisciplinary conference. Thank you. Again, thanks to everyone for sending the research paper, for research article, patents, for publication in peer review and booking chapter ISBN publication. Thanks again. Today's conference will be started with our country's national anthem, Jana Gana Man. I would like to request all the participants, please stand up for our country's national anthem, Jana Gana Man, please.
जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ शुभाशिष मांगे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक भाग्य विधाता
Thank you. Please sit down. When we listen our country's national anthem, that time automatically our mind, our soul, innovative ideas, and scholarly tacit knowledge in our mind, it is always gets high and to do something new. I would like to thank all the participants, and I would like to hand over the next session to respected Principal SK College, NERUL, Dr. Murli Madam. Murli Madam, please continue. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam.
Good morning to respected dignitaries and one and all present over here. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of Tilak Education Society's SK College of Science and Commerce for our first international one-day online multidisciplinary conference on role of emerging technologies on business, sciences, etc. I am thankful to Shri Kishore Waghmare and his entire team of Waghmare brothers for collaborating with us and giving us this opportunity to organize our first international conference. I would also like to thank all the eminent dignitaries and speakers, Dr. Abhijit Kilkesar, Dr. Janice Fernandez ma'am, Dr. Kinnari Chakar ma'am, who have taken out time from their busy schedule and have joined us today. Also, I'm thankful to all the participants who have shown faith in us and have committed their time, effort, and money for attending the conference. First, I would like to give the glimpse of a prestigious educational institution on this important platform today. The idea of putting the foundation of an educational institution is so inspiring. What was once planted as a sapling is now all grown into a large tree, Tilak family. Tilak Education Society was established in the year 1984 with the aim of promoting education in the city of Navi Mumbai. Since its inception, the society has been engaged in educational activities from nursery to post-graduation level in Navi Mumbai. Today, the society runs 15 institutions in 4 different education complexes in Navi Mumbai and Thane, catering to the educational needs of over 20,000 students. In the continuous pursuit of its mission, Tilak Education Society started SK College of Science and Commerce in the year 2008 at its NERUL campus. The college offers various arts, science, and commerce programs, full-time courses affiliated to University of Mumbai. The college offers programs like BSc IT, that is Information Technology, BSc Computer Science, BMS Management Study, BCom specialized in Accounting and Finance, Bachelor of Multimedia and Mass Communication, that is BA MMC, BBI and BFL. I am indeed honored to say that we have graded as A grade institution by NAC in the academic year 21-22 with SGPA 3.17. We will also be starting few more programs like BSc Data Science and MSc Information Technology and MCOM in Management from next academic year onwards. Since I understand we have received immense participation from India as well as abroad, I would not take much of your time and I would like to now hand over the session to Mrs. Shikha Pandey, who is our IQAC coordinator of SK College of Science and Commerce, to give further insights on the theme of the conference. So thanking you all again. Thank you.
Is this available? Shikha Pandey, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Please continue, madam.
Good morning. A very good morning to respected dignitaries and one and all present over here. I, Mrs. Shikha Pandey, IQAC coordinator at SK College of Science and Commerce, would like to again welcome you all for our first one-day multidisciplinary international conference on role of emerging technologies in business, science, etc. First, I would like to highlight that the IQAC at SK College of Science and Commerce was established in the year 2016-17 with the aim of continuously upgrading the quality initiatives of the institution. As we all know that faculties are the pillars of any college, it is important for them to continuously upgrade themselves with the latest trends and tools. Hence, we have chosen the theme of the conference, which was aimed to motivate teachers to come up with quality research papers on latest happenings in business and other important sectors. I hope we all will get benefited from different perspectives and ideas that will be shared on this platform today by our bright and knowledgeable participants. Lastly, as IQAC coordinator, I would first like to thank management of Tilak Education Society, Principal Dr. SHRI Vidya Murli ma'am for their constant guidance and support. Then I would like to thank Sri Kishore Waghmare sir and entire Waghmare brothers for collaborating with us for advertisement and marketing of the conference. I would extend my gracious thanks to all the eminent key speakers, Dr. Abhijit Kelkar sir, Dr. Janice Fernandez ma'am, and Dr. Kinnari Thakkar ma'am for accepting the invitation and sharing their perspective on the theme of the conference today. I would like to thank FDP and Conference Committee for organizing the first international conference of college successfully today. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the dear participants, both teachers of SK College of Science and Commerce and other colleges who will be presenting their papers today and enlightening us with their knowledge. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Sapna Sharma ma'am, who is one of the head of conference committee, to continue with the further session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So very good morning to all respected dignitaries and dear participants present over here. I, Dr. Sapna Sharma, on behalf of SK College of Science and Commerce, would like to proceed further with this session. Much has been said about the conference theme and others. So it's a great honor for me to introduce the first keynote speaker of the day. It's none other than Dr. Abhijit Kelkar, sir. Sir has done MCOM, MBA, MDBA, DTL, GDC and A, DFM, CFAP, CA, Inter and PhD. Dr. Abhijit sir is an industry-turned academician, researcher and trainer with over 21 years of experience, 9 years in industry, 14 years in academics in Sultanate of Oman, UAE and India within the field of accounting, finance and taxation, forensic accounting, human resource management and soft skills, research methodology and journal management. Sir has worked in different sectors like manufacturing, retail, beverage, industry, import, export, etc. Sir has also conducted many training programs and given consultancy for the banks, corporate sector, companies, and educational institutions with the customized training, learning, and development programs. Sir has also authored a textbook for management accounting at BBA level. Dr. Abhijit sir has participated, presented and addressed as keynote speaker at several national and international level conferences, conclaves, seminars, workshops, and faculty development programs. Currently, sir is working as an associate professor with the University of Fujairah in United Arab Emirates. Hearty welcome, sir, in this international conference as a keynote speaker. Now, I request Dr. Abhijit sir to kindly enrich us with his valuable opinions and thoughts and proceed further with the session. Handing over the session to you, sir.
Respected Abhijit Kelkar, sir. Sir, good morning.
Yes. Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I am absolutely fine.
Please continue, sir. Please. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just start. Great morning here and great morning in India as well. I believe so. Actually, the thing is, I was working on some audit files which are there in our university. And Dr. Janice is also here. So good morning, Dr. Janice. Right, great to see you after long time, because in the meantime there was some gap. I couldn't join the last conference. So at the outset, I would like to thank Professor Kishore Waghmare, SHRI Waghmare brothers. They have been very instrumental and active enough in organizing such kind of seminars, conferences, and so on. And obviously, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to SK College NERUL also, because the management is definitely enthusiastic enough to organize such kind of things. Because I have seen many times, friends, that most of the things are done for the compliances or tick marks, right? If we have organized something, or from my side, I have given a keynote address, or I have given one speech, I have conducted one session. Somebody will say, I have attended the seminar or conference for which I'm going to get a certificate. In the sense, everybody has got his or her own compliance tick marks. And if the compliance tick mark is the only thing for which we are doing all these things, then it's a big question mark. Because in the PPT also, in my PowerPoint presentation, which I'm going to share with you, at the end, I have got that PPT. Are we wise enough? Are we wise enough to shift the baton from one hand to the other? So are we, first of all, competent enough? That is the first question which we have to ask to ourselves, because most of the persons, I'm not saying anybody in person, but in general, I'm telling, you can observe the same thing, around you. Many of the things what the people do are sort of tick marks or compliances. And if the tick marks and compliances are there, definitely it is not going to serve the purpose when it comes to research. Because especially after COVID-19, the perspective of or the vision of research by the especially industry, by the academicians also, by academia as well as industry, have changed a lot. And that is the reason why nobody is now going to look at the research merely as one research paper with some statistical tools, with some minimum required formatting. Formatting in the sense, I'm not talking in terms of font size and indenting and justifying and all these things. I'm talking about all the things, yani hypothesis and objectives and research questions, research this research problem, data collection, questionnaire, that's it. So everything is done, it is published. Now the time has come to think on it from the different angle. Why we are doing that? What is the concrete justifiable output out of that research? Who is going to sponsor that research? Is that topic a hot cake, or is that topic a unique? Is that topic a weird kind of? Because I have come across, even you all must have come across many research topics which are weird. It means looking at the research topic itself, we start thinking why this person has chosen this topic as a research topic. With due respect to the researcher, whoever has completed that research, is it really going to add some good stream of knowledge? Is it going to add some concrete deliverables to the already existing literature? And if it is not, then perhaps nowadays the perspective of looking at research has completely changed. So let me tell you, friends, very honestly, internationally also, whenever we think of the research as such, many of our research proposals are outrightly rejected by the industry here merely because वो सब घिसा पिटा है. आप समझ रहे हैं, घिसा पिटा in the sense very commonly applied sugar cane जिसमें से पूरा जूस निकल चुका है. Don't take it from word to word meaning. My point is too much is already done in that particular area. Don't do that. We are not going to sponsor that. And ultimately now, as all of us are in this research stream, we are supposed to aim at the sponsored research, the unique, the different research, the quality research. I'm not saying qualitative, but I'm saying the quality research, Scopus indexed and ABC and care list and Q1, Q2 and all that. These are going to come as it is because these are the norms as such. So all these perspectives have to be brought into the research when it comes to our research as such. So to give you an example, financial management, working capital management, microfinance, all these are the things which are now outrightly rejected by the industries nowadays. They say we have got enough of it. Now we don't want anything. You come up with some internal checks and controls, some frauds, some forensic audit, some forensic accounting, some preventive measure in order to enable us to understand where we are leading to. What will be our profitability? What will be our analytics? Analytics need not be in finance. It can be in HR, it can be in marketing, it can be in operations also, it can be in IT also. IBM has got analytics separate course, certification diplomas are there introduced by IBM. So such kind of things are being taken out by the industry. And if industry likes your proposal, your way, your subject, believe me, they are ready to pour in millions of rupees, millions of dollars. Sky is the limit. But industry should get convinced. Now, some of you could be under opinion, doctor, you are talking about too high things. Is it really possible? We are in the first phase of our research. Some of you, I can see, have completed already the doctorate, rather PhD. You have got the doctorate, but some of you are pursuing, or maybe some of you do not have enough infrastructure, resources available to do such kind of things. Please take into consideration. See, it is always being said, not failure, but low aim is a crime, right? So start thinking about out of the box, start thinking about achieving the heights. Somewhere you will land up. When I have an aim of 100 out of 100, somewhere I will land up in 75 or 76. But yeah, if I have an aim of maybe I'm confining myself to get 60, 65, or distinction is a big achievement for me. Definitely we would land up somewhere in 50%. So whether you are in the first stage of research or research life, you have just now started, start thinking out of the box, start thinking something which is cost benefit oriented. I am aware that from the day one, nobody is going to have the Scopus publication. Q1, Q2 will not come in the day one. No, agreed. Our research may also not be, let me tell you one very, honest, I would say, sharing from my side. I did my first research paper in MIT College in Pune, right, in 2009. And in 2009, when I sent that research paper, according to me, that was a very good research paper, right? The conference committee member, one of the conference committee members was a bank person, one Dr. Wadekar sir, and he just reverted back to me on my personal email, and he said, can you please call me? And then he just contacted me, or rather I contacted him, and he gave me very good inputs. My friend, you have sent some research paper to the conference, but in no sense it looks like a research paper. So because I was a fresh academician, industry turned academician, I was working in industry before that. And thereafter it was my first conference in 2009. And then he called me and he said to me that in no sense, from not a single angle, your paper looks like a research paper in the conference to be included. But as a matter of, encouragement, we will allow you to talk, but at the end, is it okay to you? Otherwise, because the due date and everything is over long back. I said, no problem. You just give me an opportunity to talk. At least I will come to know how to prepare. And that is how the journey started. And doesn't mean that I'm excelling in that. No way. I'm just even 1% of that I may not be knowing. But my point is the overall journey starts in this way only. Somewhere there is a basic understanding, somewhere you are under the wrong impression that I have done the best, where it is outrightly rejected by the authorities. So that is going to happen, but you have to have the cost benefit analysis, because in that research paper, I still remember I had prepared it from the industry angle, wherein he said, okay, that is okay, but your research paper is in the conference, so you have to make it more and more research methodology oriented rather than typically practical oriented. It should be a combination of both. And in that context, I came to know many things thereafter. I attended many conferences and so on and so forth. Moral of the story, friends, please try to understand your research in the beginning only. I'm telling you, before we really proceed to our PPT, a very shortcut manner, we will complete our PPT. Your research should be practical oriented. Obviously, it should have the theoretical aspects of research methodology, but it should be practical oriented without fail. Number one. Number two, it should have an aim of getting sponsored by the sponsoring authority. Every time industry is not necessarily a sponsoring authority. There can be university, there can be your college, there can be some NGO, there can be some government organization. So not necessarily every time industry is going to sponsor, but sponsorship is very important. In fact, if the project is sponsored, it will add more weight when it goes for the publication. Please mind well. Small sponsorship is also okay, but try to have the sponsorship, not necessarily in the beginning, but at least try to get small funding wherein you can get some good practical inputs. Number four, don't do the research only for the sake of compliance. I have to complete it. क्या करे भैया, PhD कर रहे हैं, फर्स्ट ईयर में इतना करना है, सेकंड ईयर में इतना करना है, मेरे गाइड ने बोला है, मेरे कॉलेज ने बोला है, या फिर फॉर द प्रमोशन इट इज रिक्वायर्ड, असिस्टेंट से एसोसिएट बनना है, एसोसिएट से no way at all, because nowadays all the international academic institutions, I'm talking about UAE, United Arab Emirates, any Emirates, Sharjah, Dubai, I'm talking about Oman, I'm talking about Bahrain, because these are the countries in which I have worked, and I am in touch with Dr. Janice is also here. She will add definitely during her session. In UK also, I believe the same story is there, that nobody is interested in quantity. Everybody is interested in quality, because everybody has got so many publications. And that's the reason why that Scopus and Q1, Q2 and, Google Scholar. Scopus is the hotcake nowadays. Suddenly the Scopus has got, so Scopus has become, I always say jokingly, Scopus has become like Kiwi, because after that, dengue and all these things, kiwi got certainly glamorized in our India, that without kiwi platelets cannot be increased. There is nothing available now. If you are not eating kiwi, khalas, your job is done now. That was the, that was this thing. Suddenly kiwi got glamorized. So Scopus is undoubtedly, Scopus has got quality publications, and Scopus is the number one currently. But that doesn't mean that all other journals are of no use. But start from the basic journals, but definitely reach into that Scopus area as early as possible. Don't do it for the case of tick mark. Qualities will only talk. If you talk about, I have got only 8 publications, all are Scopus index, my friends, you will be invited first, as compared to those who have got 30, 35 publications, but none of them is Scopus index. No, this is the fact. So you and me, there is one famous sentence that if you cannot cover the entire surface of the earth with the carpet, if you cannot cover the entire surface of the earth with the carpet, it is better to wear the sandals or chappals or shoes, right? So it is up to us to think on it, how wisely we are going to enter that area, how soon we are going to enter that area, and how with interest and with, not as a tick mark, not as a compliance, but as a real interest. If you look into that matter, if you just jump, you will automatically start swimming, right? With that note, let me just give you a small presentation which I will share with you. Okay, sir has already given. Waghmare sir, can you please allow me to share?
Yes, sir. Please wait.
Yeah. Okay. Just a minute.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just sharing. Just bear with me for my sore throat, because we have been working for our audit. Okay, this is the one. Yeah.
Visible, sir.
Visible. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I will just go. This is the jigsaw puzzle in all our thought process, where to lead from, where to start, where to go, where to reach, how to reach, with whom to reach. All these things are there, which we have to take into consideration. So a puzzle in front of us, but we have to solve it on our own. Please mind well, nobody is going to, because all of them, yani outsiders, are going to help us to a certain extent, but ultimately we are the ones who are going to really conquer that battle. That is what the things are. So connect with the practical oriented approach, only problems, description not expected. Now, positive approach is not something that is an outdated concept. Don't confuse with positive, negative words. Positive means mentioning the things as they are, and normative means mentioning the things as they ought to be. So nowadays, the research is not supposed to give only recommendations. You know, most of the recommendations and suggestions are the extended versions of findings and conclusions of the research, which is not really the correct practice. Your findings and conclusions and recommendation suggestions can be outrightly different from each other, 180-degree different. It can be, it is accepted. So we are under the impression that findings and conclusions, uska hi kuch ek extension bana do, that will be my recommendation and suggestion. Not necessarily. You have found out something, you have concluded something, but your recommendations can be extremely out of your research area also. Not area, I mean to say your research findings also, not necessarily, right? So mapped outcomes of research with the overall industry or sector. Old wine in the new bottle, gone are the days. So we cannot really publish something which is too old or which is something too common. They need some uniqueness, some different approach, some new freshness is required, and that freshness will come when you will come up with some innovative idea, some really good topic. Creativity and innovations, okay, that is, everything is done. This is what we have. R&D in education, in generic sustainable development, sustainability, business models. We know, especially after the COVID, in our academics also, huge amount of uncertainty is prevailing. Obviously, uncertainty has been prevailing for long years, but after COVID, everything is uncertain. Everything is subject to risks. We never know what is going to happen tomorrow in terms of our jobs, in terms of our salaries, and in terms of, so as and when you look at yourself, you look at your outputs in terms of research, always ensure that these outputs are the best outputs, so that they will land me somewhere in the next destination very easily, right? So research has to be a concrete and robust rather than quantity only. Quality is something which is to be aimed, but at the same time, quantity is also cannot be neglected. Time and cost aspect, competitive advantage, hybrid approach of offline and online learning, and exclusively online universities. Now see, there is one, many of you must be using Turnitin. Now Turnitin has recently added AI, artificial intelligence, and now the Turnitin used to give us that how much is the plagiarism percentage. Now AI has gone 1,000 steps ahead of that plagiarism percentage, which Turnitin reports used to generate. Now, most of the genuine researches also, if you put in that Turnitin, is going to give you many bad remarks through AI, because AI is the very, I would say, updated, upgraded, and recent version, advanced version. So we have to be careful now when we are producing some research, we are producing some output generated research. Hybrid approach of online and offline learning, exclusively online universities, no more extraordinary feature, right? It is very, there are many universities which are working online. Nobody has seen, nobody. Just you have to deliver, you have to, create a content, deliver it, that's it. You never see your students, students never see you. Maybe they see you, but you might not have seen your students at any moment of time till their graduation. So that is what is the common practice, and we have to adopt with it. Distance learning and blended learning, you have to hit the arrow, right, the bow very nicely, because unless and until it hits the target, the correct circle, the innermost circle, it is not going to work, right? Forget about all these things because I'm just going to run. Yes, that example I always give. Creativity is required in the research, and at the same time, innovativeness is also required. Marketing your research is very important thing. Where do you market your research output? How do you market? Where? Right? That is very important thing. William Greener, Henry Leland, not publicly known, whereas Edison everywhere a center of discussion. Actually, William Greener and Henry Leland were one of the persons who invented bulb or electricity before Thomas Alva Edison. But we know, everybody knows only Edison because Edison was wise enough to market his talent, rather than these guys were satisfied just in getting clapped or getting good hands from their relatives and friends. Edison was strategic in his career. So obviously he marketed himself. He got the New York municipality contract as such. So not only creativity, not only the content, but innovativeness is also required. How it is unique, how it can attract some of the sponsorship, how it can attract. Forget about sponsorship in the beginning. Okay, I'm talking for the sponsorship from the beginning of my session. So all of you might have under impression कि कहाँ क्या बात कर रहे हैं sir, हम तो basic research कर रहे हैं, कहाँ sponsor, कौन मिलेगा sponsor. Okay, but in the beginning at least, not sponsorship, but you can at least go to the industry, go to the government department, go and just get it published somewhere else. Don't give us any sponsorship. हम आपको देते हैं, लेकिन हमारा research sponsor ना करें, publish करें. I still remember when I was working in India in our institutes, one of the students had done the research during their MBA, but it was a joint research. It was not MBA graduation project, research methodology project, but it was a joint research by one of our faculty members and a student. And we went to the Pune Municipal Corporation. I'm from Pune basically. So Pune Municipal Corporation, we went. That is the transportation. Now it is called as PMPML. We went there. We said, don't give us any sponsorship, but we have done some inventory management for you. Please read that. Please go through that. Next time, I still remember they called us. Can you do some kind of analysis can you send some of your, nobody gave us any grant. Nobody gave us a single pie also. But mind well, they noticed our output. They called us. Through that, at least some kind of association gets, some kind of link, some kind of your relationship gets built. Who knows, in future, you might get some sponsorship from them. So this is how the relationship building, this is how the connection starts. And that's the reason why don't look for sponsorship in the beginning, but start publishing it through some good platform. Not necessarily Scopus in the beginning, in the initial stage, but go to some NGOs are there, non-governmental organization, some financial institutions, some banks are there, MSME sector is there. Go and just tell them that this is what I would like to do the research for you. Everything is FOC, free of cost. But would you like to get that? Just take this copy and let me know what is your opinion. Believe me, friends, industry is not fool enough to just receive it from you and throw it in the garbage box, because they are worried about single paisa every time. So they will read, they will come back to you. And if they really find interesting, next time they will say, do it something, but this time we will give you something in return. And that is what our
next time
somebody is talking, I don't know. So that's okay. Then yeah, finish all that is served in a platter and old approach. Please try to understand. So go for uniqueness, go for some the specialized approach, focused approach. I still remember in finance, when people start talking microfinance, working capital management, inventory management, or some case study about packaging, logistics and supply chain management, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, that's the end of the story. Not really. Go ahead with the unique approach, do some or find some uniqueness in commonly observed topics. Okay, no problem. We cannot go ahead with altogether unique, which doesn't have any acceptance or which doesn't have any literature also available. But then try to find out some loophole in the already existing literature wherein nobody has thought on this. So let me just go in depth of the approach, which seems to be new, right? So don't go ahead with whatever is available in your stream. Find out something unique, something new in which comparatively less amount of work is being done, and accordingly start doing that. Then textbooks more or less becoming an outdated thing, at least in higher educational institutions, correct? 1,000 platforms for learning management systems available. Moodle is just one of them. We all know Moodle in India, but apart from Moodle, there are 1,000 platforms available which are giving you the same kind of service. Okay, extensive use of social media, collaborative learning, data analytics play a vital role. Say artificial intelligence, analytics, blockchain, then internal checks, controls, and frauds. Then digital frauds, then digitalization, digital technology, digital forensics. These are some of the areas which are very hot cakes and in which a very comparatively less amount of work is being done. If you select out of that any topic which is suitable to you in your own domain, obviously it is going to serve the purpose, right? This is how so many ways where to lead to, right? ROI concept, already I have told you, you are putting in a lot of efforts, so there has to be return on investment. Investment not necessarily in terms of monetary aspects, but it has to be in terms of time, your efforts, and so on in the beginning. Everything is time bound and assessment oriented rather than knowledge, temporary parking of data to delete the information and increasing trend. So this is one of the concepts which I would like to update you on, that now knowledge and using of that knowledge is one aspect only, which used to be the major aspects, one of the major aspects in the beginning or in the past. But nowadays, gone are the days when your research remains fresh for some years, not necessarily, because every day some new trend is coming. Every day some new inputs or some new concrete deliverables are getting added in the already existing stream of knowledge. So where do we find ourselves? Where do we find our research? And that's the reason why, rather than knowledge, temporary parking of data. So your research paper, you might find 2 years back, whatever you published may be incomplete in today's context, obviously. So there is an opportunity for you to fine tune, to have one more research out of the research which you have already done in the past. So that is also one of the possibilities. That is extension of already done research, already completed research, extension of that, but bring it not necessarily the old wine in the new bottle, not in that approach. The research area is same, direction is same, but the perspectives are different, right? Deliverable concrete outcomes are different. In that way, you can go ahead with the extension of your own research, which you have finished in the past or which you have published in the past. Nobody stops you, but there has to be uniqueness. There has to be some new elements added, which were not available in your old publication. Then okay, vicious cycle of teaching, learning not even attempted to be broken. That is very important thing, one thing as a researchers or as conference participants, we must keep it in mind. If I'm really thinking of because XYZ factors are beyond my control, I'm not in the position to act as per my desired path, then we are committing a mistake. We cannot have any control over external environment. We don't have any control over some factors which are beyond our control. Then definitely we have to adjust ourselves into the changing circumstances. So that vicious cycle has to be broken by us as researchers or as academicians, or even some of the industry persons could be there in this conference. So we have to break that silence. We have to break that vicious cycle or circle. When you break that, definitely it is going to be your world. You will create your own path. That is what, and it is not a life philosophy. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not here to give you any discourse. No way. I'm just sharing it with you, my experience, which we always observed in, for myself or for my colleagues also. We, in our research and research department of a university, we do a lot of research, and not all research outputs are very good. Not all research are worth of getting published in Scopus Index journals. Not necessarily. Some of the research are very pathetic research we produce. That's what we always laugh at our own research. But when the entire amount of quantity, if you see, some percentage is having a good quality. But that vicious cycle, we don't get funds, we don't have time, we don't have encouragement, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have enough support. All these things are not, we do have internet connection. Yes. Do we have enough knowledge of our own stream in which we are teaching? Yes. Or in which we are working, if it is industry person? Yes. And do we have enough colleagues around us whom to be bombarded with our questions? Do we have enough industry around us? Can we go to them? Or some of the organizations in our research area wherein we can go personally, meet some person and get the information. If these 3 or 4 questions you answer, you don't need anything about it. You will produce a very good quality research with these 3-4 things. That's it. Don't need anything. But we always have that vicious cycle of thinking, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Okay, that is not going to be there. But then what? What next? Ultimately, output has to be created. When, how, who, by whom, and all these, so many questions are there. Stringent and rigorous audits, surprising and shocking results are there. Spending and quantifiable output, totally mismatched equation. Nowadays, see, let me tell you, in one of the researches we have completed just now for Deloitte, right? Big 4 company. Now, Deloitte is not relying on our university only. My university is just a small element for them. Mind well, Deloitte is a big 4. Deloitte, KPMG, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and PwC. These are the 4 big 4 audit firms, and they are not only in the auditing, they are into many areas. But recently we have made one research, one output which we have submitted to Deloitte, and they said that it is very good. It has come up very nicely. Obviously, they might be saying all these things to many other universities also. So we didn't take it very seriously because we know what quality we have produced. It is not really very above the mark or extraordinary. But yes, we have tried our level best to come up with some concrete, some concrete good research, quality research. So Deloitte has told us, and in that research, not Deloitte, we have told Deloitte after researching, more than 20 acts are there or laws are there in banking sector in India. The report of banking frauds and banking sector about in banking sector in India, Deloitte is publishing one report. I think in the next month that report will come. So they have taken inputs from some of the universities. In our university was one of them. So more than 20 acts are there, legislations we have, and more than 8 regulators are there. More than 20 acts and more than 8 regulators exclusively in the banking in India. And the most affected, economy affecting, or the huge number of frauds are happening in banking sector only. And then what is the reason? That's how the government should look into the matter. That in Marathi there is one proverb, "Kumpanana khalla shet." Correct? Everybody must be knowing. "Kumpananach khalla shet." Those who do not understand Marathi, the compound wall is protected around the farm in order to protect that crop from the outside animals who will eat them. But if the compound wall itself starts eating the crop, what will happen? Right? Then we are wise enough to understand. And that's the reason why we have asked the question in that research, that is Indian government thinking to create one after the other firewalls in order to prevent the frauds, rather than strengthening the existing firewalls which they have? This is the question, research question, which Indian government should look into the matter. Okay, it's not that after Deloitte report, Indian government is going to think on that. It is not. But from our side, we have done that. Why? What is the purpose? 20 acts are there. More than 8 regulators are there. We have given the list also, but the maximum number of frauds are happening in India in banking sector only. Why? What is the reason? Yani, are we going wrong enough in our approach? Are we going wrong enough in our direction? The time has come to think of such kind of things. Are something which is eye-opener kind of research outputs are going to be welcomed by the industry or by the other authorities. Right? Funds not a constraint, but certainly a crucial factor. Funds are not easily provided, but the moment they are convinced, you will be given a lot of funds. You can do whatever you want to do. Right? Consistently monitored research processes are there. Just have a look on this. Right? Do have a strategy. XYZ. Strategy X is refinement and consistency in refinements. Strategy Y, it should be practical oriented. Strategy Z, it should be equipped with the minimum required, that is technically sound. My research output doesn't have research questions. It doesn't have hypothesis. It doesn't have statistical tool. It doesn't have any concrete suggestions and recommendations. Referencing style is not followed. Indenting is not done. Footer and header are not correctly done. That is something which is a minimum required thing. There is nothing worthy of mentioning. But yes, technically it should be sound, formatting wise, and in terms of the structure of research methodology wise. Then strategy Y, you know, practical oriented. Definitely all your research, please attempt to be practical oriented. Don't go for the research area, which is typically a bookish theoretical or commonly adopted by all, because it is not going to work. It will add just one list of publication, one amongst the list of publications which you have, but it is not really going to add something to your own value addition as well as your own, I would say, quality or the glamour or the zeal which your research outputs should have. And obviously the strategy should be refinement and consistency in refinements. You can always show the same topic you have researched 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, not a problem. But the scope was changed every time. The deliverables were changed every time. The direction was changed every time, even though the overall domain was same. That is pretty much allowed, and that is a very common practice also nowadays. So knowledge of creation and growth, this is how the strategy which it should be for the research. Right, validity, reliability, so Cronbach alpha and all these things. As I said, this is something which you know, literature review, how much you should have a literature review. Dr. Janice is going to add a very good value. It's definitely a good thing to listen to her, because she gives very, you know, in an apt way, she gives us a good inputs, and that is definitely something which you should not miss. She will talk about many such things, literature review and you know, publications. Where should you publish? What do you mean by impact factor and so on, DOI, and you know, technically all these things will be given to you. But from the quality angle, from the output angle, from the sponsorship angle, from the choice of research angle, from the advancement of the research angle, I'm just trying to put some inputs. That's it. So this is what the research process, you know, I need not repeat it. You guys must be knowing this all. Sustainable, so forget about this. Functionality and so on and so forth. Constant touch with the stakeholders, a real prerequisite. So please be in touch with the stakeholders. Stakeholders need not be only industry persons. Your guide, students, their parents. Some of your students may be having some industry persons also as their parents. Get in touch with them through your student. Meet the students' parents, maybe a mother or father or uncle or brother, so that is going to help you in order to get what kind of problems they have. Because as many discussions you have with the external stakeholders and internal stakeholders, that will give you enough number of ideas for research in terms of uniqueness and all these things. Cross-functionality is not a feature worth to be mentioned, but a necessary and minimum required. So operations with finance, finance and marketing, finance and HR, cross-functional approach, IT and finance, analytics and finance, auditing and HR. Many things are there which can be cross-functional, need not necessarily only in one domain. You can mix it with the other domain, can have a joint publication also. Statistics as a supplementary tool, not necessarily as the mainstream tool as such. So this is the slide which I was referring about in terms of research and knowledge journey. Where do we stand? We have to understand. Where are we leading to? We have to understand. And are we wise enough? And perhaps when you are able to answer these 3 questions, where do we stand? Currently, where do I stand? What kind of research I am producing currently? What kind of research I am expected to produce? what I'm supposed to, how that path I'm going to cover, in between what I am currently and where I have to be. Where do we stand? That is very important. That will give you enough direction for your research quality. Where are we leading to? Check the direction in which area I'm doing the research. Am I doing it correctly? Am I doing it completely? Am I doing it which is worthy of getting noticed and so on? And are we wise enough? Yani, at the end, I would like to say, nobody is perfect. We all are the students of research. We all get something new every day, which we have never seen. So in this entire ocean of the research outputs all around us, are we wise enough to at least grasp a few things, imbibe within ourselves and market it innovatively in such a manner that our output will turn out to be a good output, quality output, and has got a very good acceptance. So on this note, friends, happy researching, right? The secret of success is not in doing your own work, but in recognizing the right person or persons to do it. Andrew Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie, everybody knows, I hope. This is very important sentence. The secret of success is not in doing your own work, but in recognizing the right persons to do it. Don't get it in other way. That is, my research will not be done by me. I will get it done from somebody else. It is not the meaning of that. On a lighter mode, let me share. The only meaning out of this is, you find right persons, get right information from them, put it in the correct format or technical format. Output is bound to be fantastic, right? Out of the world. That is what I would like to say. So thank you all. I hope I was clearly audible, and there was some input which you could get from whatever things which I have shared with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Such a nice and wonderful lecture. As visual, outstanding. I would like to thanks respected Dr. Abhijit Kelkar sir for outstanding delivery of the online lectures. The further session I would like to deliver Dr. Sapna Sharma, madam.
Yes, sir.
Please continue.
Yes. So it's a matter of great pride for me to introduce the second guest key speaker for the day, Dr. Janice Fernandez, ma'am. Ma'am is currently working as an academic support librarian in the University of West London, UK. Ma'am has done BSc from University of Mumbai, BLISc, MLISc, MPhil, and PhD from Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune. Dr. Fernandez ma'am has over 31 years of enriched experience, and the area of specialization are quality control, information literacy, innovative techniques in librarianship, and human resource management. Heartily welcome, ma'am, in this one-day online international conference. Now, I would like to request Dr. Fernandez ma'am to kindly share her inputs with the audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sapna, for your kind words, and a very good morning to you all. At the onset, I would like to say thank you to Abhijit for that inspiring talk, because you're always motivating and you stir up those research embers which are dominant, I think, in us all. Thank you to the principal and staff of SK College NERUL for this invitation to share some of my thoughts with you today. And a very big thank you to Kishore and to Waghmare brothers for organizing this knowledge share. Let me just get back to sharing my screen so I can begin with my PPT. I can see a hand raised up. I hope there isn't any issue.
Yeah.
Okay, audible, fine. Thank you. So a little bit about the challenges and opportunities in research, and a little bit about my life's journey as we go along. Starting from this very basic definition of research, because this is something that I take with me as I go along. And as you know, one of the good aspects of research is that you don't begin by thinking that you're going to win a Nobel Prize, but the joy that you have at the end of discovering something, the joy that you have at the end of writing a good research paper, at the end of doing something amazing, an experiment that gave you the results that you were looking for, that is the thrill of research. The very elementary research cycle, and as just as the audience is a lot into research and doctoral probably candidates, I think this bit would be, I'm sure you have gone through this bit. So some of the basic bits of identification of your research problem, or your review of literature, or your analysis and interpretation. I think researcher has all of these components in it. And as we go along, we're going to ask ourselves and ask why we get into research. So it is an opportunity to gain more knowledge, and I have put that at the top of the slide because the main focus of your research is actually to get knowledge. There are a lot of other gains that you get from the whole process, but don't let go of your vision. Don't let go of the fact that you will always remain a researcher. I am a librarian and I work at the University of West London. My basic knowledge is librarianship, and many, many years ago, I learned classification and cataloging. In simple things that I do, both in my personal life and in my professional life, I use those basics of classification and cataloging. So how do you put things into place? How do you put documents into folders? How do you classify documents so that you can easily retrieve them? That's the base of my knowledge, and that core knowledge never goes from you. So whatever is your field, ensure that that core knowledge doesn't go from you. You transform that knowledge into skills which are then transferable into any job environment that you work in. And when I go in for interviews, I always say that these are my transferable skills. Make a note of those skills that are transferable. I am now moving from research more into job-oriented aspects, but I presume that the two of them go hand in hand, because you don't stop the research bit once you get a job. It is a lifelong learning. A little bit about the educational sector today, because this is something that always worries me, given the fact that I have been always associated with students and always in the academic sector, much like you are. Is it that the focus is always on core subjects? I am a subject librarian for music and drama. And strangely, if you see the number of students who take admission into these arts courses, you would be amazed. You would be amazed to think that there is something out of the core subjects that will take students to another future. Think about the teaching learning process. Think about what's happening with the curriculum. Are we changing? Do we not need to move? We've moved here into things like Blackboard and virtual learning, flexible learning, blended learning, and things called flipped classroom, things we'd never heard about before. But I think it's an ongoing process, and I think a lot of research has been done into this, and a lot of research is being done as well in whatever things that we do, whatever our job roles are. There is a little bit of research, so I think that that research bit never goes from you. So don't differentiate your research from the degree oriented or that part of it to whatever role you are working in, because research is research no matter where you are or what sector you're in. that's something that always makes me smile, but it is something that we are very familiar with, and I think something that we all strive to change. A lot of the education now is moving more into practical based and assignment based, and moving a lot into research. I deal with research students all the time. So I support PhD students at the university. I support master's level students and MPhil students. Uh, I have just this week uh, have been successful in an interview, and now have the post of academic support manager. A lot of these things are actually all research oriented. I'm looking just at some current educational issues, and I'm thinking how these are challenges, basically. These are challenges. So I'm not just looking at your research degree, but I'm also looking at research that you can do in various other sectors and then tie it all together. You are all probably in academic institutions, and you probably have all of these things happening. So maybe step out of your comfort zone a bit, try and take on a project, try and tie up with academics. You have a lot of buddy projects. I love to do buddy projects, where you do research projects with someone, and then the results of this research will sort of stimulate you to write a research paper. Like Abhijit mentioned, do good research, publish it in good places where your visibility increases, and you are sort of embedded in the area. A lot of students that come to the UK to study are international students. In February, we had 700 students come in from India to study at the University of West London alone. One of my major roles is helping students to see what are the barriers that might prevent them from gaining education, and I think research into those small aspects as well. So even though I am a librarian, I could stay very confined to my role and my space and say I don't need to do anything more than that. I'm just a librarian, but I do a lot of research. I go and talk to a lot of students. I try and find out, and then I change the way that I teach to be able to embed some of those things into it. And I think it is research as we go along. It's constant understanding. Turnitin, plagiarism, we've all heard of chat GPT. All of these things keep coming up in conversations, but I think you learn when you start a conversation. Unless you start a conversation, no one's going to know whether you know or don't know or are interested to know something about that topic. So all those difficult things that you think you should talk about but are afraid to talk about, start those conversations. Maybe that would propel you into reading a bit more. I heard a lot about chat GPT from students. I do a lot of information literacy sessions. So I go into class and teach. And every class that I went into, I kept getting this question: what do you think of chat GPT? And well, at the beginning, I really had no idea. And I had heard vaguely about it, and I thought it was my competitor, or it was a competitor to the whole academic system. And I thought, wow, students can beat the system, because you have assignments, you have deadlines, and you have chat GPT. But then you read more about it. And in fact, just this morning, I had a really lovely message on my phone, and someone sent me this from Narayan Murthy. And he said, he was asked the question about chat GPT, and he said, never underestimate the power of the human mind, because he said it's the human mind. And it was so amazing. And I thought this is this constant battle about AI. But of course, this is a topic for another day, and I'm happy to have a conversation about AI at another stage. I introduced this concept of chat GPT because this is something that you speak about when you speak about research, how easy it is to plagiarize, or how easy it is, or how it is easy how detrimental it is to your own research career. You know, the copy paste that we do, if we do literature reviews by copying and pasting abstracts from others' work, I think if you learn it correctly, you learn it for life. And if you find this difficult, look at lots of options which teach you how to paraphrase properly, how to summarize properly. One tip I can give you here, what we use is something called Manchester Phrase Bank, and you can take that down. Manchester Phrase Bank, if you Google that, is a site which helps you to get other phrases, maybe synonyms, but phrases which would help you in your literature search, in your literature review. Because eventually, whatever research you do would go into Turnitin. Let's just brush through the whole of your research process quickly. So, how did you select your research topic? Last week, I had a student from hospitality come to me. It was 5 minutes to 5 in the evening. Submission of the topic for dissertation was the next morning. And she said, my everything is done. I'm sorted. Would you just take a look? I looked at her research topic. I put it into search, into my library search management system. I changed the words. I used other synonyms, and it came up in the institutional repository. So somebody else had already done that research, and she was unaware of it because she had not searched before selecting the topic. You could do that search on a slightly different tangent. Maybe you might take undergraduate students instead of postgraduate, or you might take a different stream. You might not take hospitality, you might take biomedical or something of that sort. But to give you an idea that if you do a research which has already been done by someone else, you are then reinventing the wheel. And that is not what research is all about. That's why the first slide said, what is research is to find something new. The other important bit is that it is your own desire and interest that matters. If I don't like this topic, why do I do it? Am I forced to do it? Can I move it to something which is my own passion? And I know we all say we find time for the things that we love to do. If you love the topic, you would go to great lengths to rearrange your timetable and make sure that you have time for your research. Just to give you a few topics, I was talking to students, and these are some of the things that we have these very interesting conversations. And I think research topics come out of brainstorming. If you can't find a topic, sit with your friends, just throw some ideas around. My field, okay, what is the current things happening? What's, at least to give you that broad idea. I've just put together a few things, but it is interesting to think about bits like this. Is there an alternative to dialysis? Is there an option for a faulty gene? How do we treat? Do we treat? Can we treat? If so, how do we treat? How do we create awareness of learning disabilities? If you were into engineering, for example, how do you use lighter materials to create better aircrafts? How can we harness energy from newer resources? This whole concept of solar panels on the top of houses, on the rooftop of houses, has probably come from a lot of research and a lot of breakthrough and a lot of changes that slowly made everything seems so easy, but it's been a lot of work. But we today have been able to do this. We harness energy from wind, we harness energy from water. This is a very interesting field. We're talking about sustainability. We are talking about decreasing our carbon footprint. What are we doing for that? Do we constantly print? How much of paper do we use? One of the things we have here is, strangely, as a member of staff, I can print, and we don't pay for printing. Students don't pay for printing either. But you constantly are asked when you go to print, do you need to print this? Can you use an electronic version of it? I think it is creating that awareness. Sometimes you just want to read it and then you don't want to do anything with it. So why do you print it? Can you not save the electronic version? You have many storage devices as well. This is all the thought process that goes into it. If you're talking about agriculture, you're talking about forecasting, you are talking about organic, but you're also talking about this whole concept of genetically modified fruits and vegetables, supportive pesticides, maybe. Think of your own research topic. I'm going to give you a minute, probably, as we are having this conversation. Think of your own research topic. Why did you choose this topic? What have you set out to accomplish? What do you want to find out? What do you want to prove? And then how will it benefit society? That's one of those important questions. Because if your research does not benefit anyone, then where are we going with this, isn't it? You're talking about all of these solar energy and things like this, which benefit society. In your own way, can you carve out a place for yourself in society by doing something which has benefited someone? It might be a very simple thing in your line of work, but if it is something which smoothens out the process, it makes things easier, better, faster, then that is where the benefit of the research lies. Talk in terms of research and development in education. So you could do feasibility studies, you could do lots of data analysis, lots of surveys. Today you do lots of electronic surveys rather than paper surveys. But in the West, we are moving a lot towards qualitative research as against quantitative research. So in the area that I am in, we talk about ethnographies and autoethnographies, culturally sensitive topics, large topics like racism and gender bias and domestic abuse, and also topics where people talk about their own experiences and it changes the way that society thinks. Are you, in your own way, going to be an instrument for change? That is something I would like to motivate you into thinking today. Think like a researcher. Okay, let's come down to the very basic nitty-gritties of how do you review literature. And I'm sure all of you, most of you probably done it. Some of you probably in the process of doing it. But just to put down a few steps. So you select your research topic, and I just explained how you would select a good research topic, something that you're passionate about. You define the search terms. So take your topic and break it down into a couple of search terms. Then you will be able to search by finding synonyms for those terms. I have looked at research where you sometimes find I've had students come and tell me, we can't find anything on this topic. If you change the search terms, if you use synonyms, if you use teenagers instead of say school-going children or college-going children, or some of those options, maybe use different, say, professionals, or use industries, or you will find that you get more searches. Read and understand, write down your individual analysis. This is where I said, don't copy the abstract from other papers, because that is not your own analysis. You have to write in just maybe 2 sentences, what are the findings from that research paper? And all of that ties down to being your own literature review. You write your review and then you list the references at the end. So use your reading in your writing. This is just an idea of a relationship between the subject area and your research topic. You start from, say, start with music and you slowly narrow down. And what you get right down at the bottom is your research topic. But you've gone from your subject area and you have slowly gone specialist into your subject area. So when I talk about music, I'm just going to talk about fandom in music, and I'm just going to talk about a particular artist, and I'm going to give it a date range of just the last 10 years, and I'm going to do something very specific about it. When you do things like this, the chances of you copying anybody else's research is very less, because you've chosen a very niche area, a very small area that not many might have thought about. You're all aware of where you get your information resources from. I am going to talk about DOAJ, that is the Directory of Open Access Journals, and DOAB, Directory of Open Access Books. So much of information available on the internet is free. Academic resources are free, because as a researcher, I write a research paper, but I want to make it available to everyone for free. I don't want people to pay for it. And so I put it up in public domain, and I have give it what you call Creative Commons licenses. So it is available for free. Make use of these academic resources. You don't have to pay for databases. You might go as a guest to one of these large institutions which have access to a number of databases, and you might sit there for a day and reference what you need and take down your notes, and that would help you as well. You might want to look at reports, maybe if you wanted statistics, say, for example, if you want census data, or you want some sort of conference reports, or you want some sort of industry data. That depends on the topic of your research. In your list of references at the end of each chapter and in the bibliography at the end of your thesis or dissertation, it would be nice to have a good mix of books, journal articles, websites, and maybe you might include other material like podcasts or even blogs for that matter. But it's the base of it would be books. The reason being that books are a primary source of information. It gives the breadth and depth of your subject area. You have today books available as print and ebooks, and ebooks have a fantastic option of searching inside the book. They also have citations available as well as references that you can just copy and paste into your reference list at the end. But when the assessor or when your teacher reads your thesis, they always go to the bibliography and they have a good idea of where you are looking for your resources when they read that list. We sometimes think, who's reading our reference list? People are. Assessors are. When I look for an academic article, I always look at the references to see what material these people have looked at. Have they just looked at websites or blogs, or have they looked at concrete material? Have they looked at books? This is an image of a typical structure of a journal article. And let me give you a tip. When you read a journal article, you don't need to read the whole article to understand whether you want to include it in your literature review. Read the abstract. Go to the end of the article and read the findings and the discussion. Between the abstract and the findings, you should be able to decide whether the article fits the course of your research study. When you go into databases, you will often have not just the search result, but you will also have the name of the journal. And it makes sense to go and just go inside that journal and search inside it. These are just tips for effective searching, but as a librarian, this is my area and this is my strength. So I like to give this information to students who are researching. This is a common question that we always have, isn't it? What happens if I don't find enough information? Well, I have students come and tell me, I can't find any information. So this is what you do. If you find one relevant journal article, and you can see from the top that it is authentic, you can see the title of the journal, the volume and the issue number and the DOI, the digital object identifier. You then go to the list of references at the end of that journal article and read those, because all of those are related to the same subject area. So you don't need to find a lot. You need to find one relevant journal article, and that can be your springboard. The second tip is to search through citations. So if you are on Google Scholar, which is a citation tracking database, you have to look at something that's called cited by. So cited by tells you the impact factor in a way, and it tells you the citation, but the higher that number, the more the authenticity or more the visibility. And I would use something which was cited by more people. So if you click on the cited by, you can read more relevant articles because they're all in the same knowledge domain. We are all aware of why we prefer to not to use Google, or why we don't use Wikipedia. But Google Scholar also often gives you dead links. It will not contain everything. And I would always like to go from your library database, go from the information that is in an academic place, because you know that that is more authentic, or that is culled from more academic and accurate sources. So you did this search for information for your research topic. You probably put a couple of books in your reference list. You've got, say, 10 good journal articles. Do you use them all? Do you use some of them? How do you understand what you need to use? And evaluating sources of information is one of these aspects of lifelong learning. So we are evaluating information all the time, whether we are aware of it or not. You are evaluating what channels you want to see on the TV. You are evaluating which information or which news is authentic. You are evaluating how you use that information. And these are some of those aspects of evaluating sources. So how current is the information? If the topic of your research was something about, say, the research progress in medicine in the last 10 years, you are not looking at older journal articles. You do need to remember embargo and stuff like that. So a lot of journal articles do have an 18 months embargo. But other than that, you need to look about when it was published. If you're looking at a website and it was last updated in 2014, do you want to use that? How relevant is it to your topic? Is it too basic? Is it too advanced? Who's the author? I always like to Google the author and see, is the author an expert in the field? Is the author an academic? Has he or she has published a lot of papers, maybe books? You would use that sort of information. How accurate it is and whether it is biased. And what is the purpose of that information? A lot of information sometimes is put out there on the internet to sell something, maybe entertain you, maybe persuade you to change your thought process. Does it inform you? Is there evidence? Has it been verified by another source? Is something that you need to think about. And I'm just going to run through this one because the important aspect is to critically evaluate. And when I say critically evaluate, you step back. Don't be biased about the information, but think how this resource is relevant to your own research. And like I told you, summarize, paraphrase, and synthesize. Just an example of paraphrasing. So you will write it again with new words and phrases, but you will keep the same meaning. So some of the common mistakes that we do when we paraphrase is we don't make enough changes from the original source. You might change and change again, and then you end up with the same words that were in the original source. So you need to keep track of how you use the synonyms, but you don't change the meaning of it. Okay. The other bit along with paraphrasing is summarizing. And I'll give you a good tip for summarizing. You read a journal article, read it again, and then without looking at the journal article, write 3 sentences about it. This is the basis of summarizing for literature review. That's all you need to do. Just probably 3 sentences. One would tell you the reason for the research, one would tell you the findings of the research, and one would probably tell you the impact of that research. And just that is the summarizing part. You are all aware of the importance of referencing. You are all aware of why we need to reference, because your research will go through Turnitin. Plagiarism is an academic offense. And if you don't reference correctly, it is what we call unintentional plagiarism, because the system has been designed in a way. So you are telling the system that the referencing style that I'm going to use is Harvard referencing. And if you do not put into italics the title of the journal article that you're supposed to, the system doesn't recognize it. Everything that the system does not recognize is termed as unintentional plagiarism. As a subject librarian, one of my roles is to sit with students who have had their assignments or dissertations refused through Turnitin because of very high similarity. 33% similarity, 40% similarity, a lot of that is to do with referencing. So incorrect citations or wrong style of referencing, that explains the importance of referencing in your research. So basically, referencing consists of an in-text citation, what you call inside the text, inside your text. All you need to do to put into that is the surname of the author, comma, the year, all in round brackets. And you will say more about this person whose name you cited in the list of references or the bibliography at the end of your document. Here's just an example. But I like to look at this aspect of referencing more like a name and address. So in the text, what you would put is the name, and in the list of references, you will give the address or more information about the author. We are all aware of why we need to reference. It also helps you to lend credibility to your own work, as well as you acknowledge the work of others. Obviously, none of us would like that our own work is plagiarized, and I think that is what other authors would expect as well. Just the basic elements of a reference entry for books, not much to remember basically, but just the way that the style in which it goes. If you were using APA style, it would be different. If you were using Oscola, it would be different. If you were using Harvard, it would be different. What is different is basically things like punctuation marks or maybe the sequencing. But other than that, the elements of a reference entry remain the same. So you want to know the author, you want to know the year it was published, the title, and where it was published. if you're looking at a journal article, what is different from a book and a journal article is that a journal article has two titles, as you can see. It would be the title of the article itself, as well as the title of the journal in which this article is available. So the end of all of this referencing is basically that somebody else reading it should be able to find the article that you have referenced. 5 essential tips for referencing, and 5 things that you should not do. Rather, don't leave referencing until the last minute. It is always a thing that you do keep the referencing, and you have 4 hours left for submission, you have an hour left for submission, then you can't find what you had used, and you've got the citation but you can't find the article. You don't want any stress at the last minute, okay? Whether it's for a research paper, whether it is for your dissertation. Keep doing your referencing as you go along. You might use anything. You might use Mendeley or Zotero or RefWorks or any of these, whatever works for you. You might just use Excel or Word if that works for you. But whatever you use, ensure that you are doing your referencing as you go along. Okay. And of course, when you do your research, one of those aspects is at your Viva that you need to have you need to present. So you probably need PowerPoint. This is my very simple and elementary bit about PowerPoint. Things that I like to use: 6 words per line, 6 lines per slide. Look at your fonts, your colors, your spacing, include visuals. Please don't copy the whole abstract into a slide. Please don't copy your whole research paper and present it into many slides. I will be sitting through this for a bit, so I would look at some of your presentations as we go along. But I'm happy to guide you with this. You can always take my email address from Kishore, and I'm happy to support you in this. And just a little bit as I conclude, I'm talking about this concept of change management. A lot is changing with regard to information. Information which is available is not free, and that which is free is not available. You're looking at your changing roles today. What is still conventional is the basis of finding information, the fact that you need to find, you need to use it correctly. And I think that those are the pillars of information literacy, because you need to know how to search, how to find, how to evaluate, how to use, and how to store. And all of this is ethically. So inside this whole ethical concept, you have your research. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to delve into the amazing world of research and to add value to the profession. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for such a nice lecture delivered in our international conference. I would like to hand over this session, Sapna Pandey, madam, for Kinnari Thakkar, madam, biodata reading. Thank you, Janice, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So now, proceeding further with the session here, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our third guest speaker for the day. I'm very glad and honored to give a brief introduction of Dr. Kinnari Thakkar ma'am. Please mute yourself. Okay, so ma'am is a professor in the Department of Commerce, University of Mumbai. Ma'am has done BCom from University of Mumbai, ACMA from the Institute of Cost Accountant of India. Ma'am has qualified NET for lectures, MCom from the University of Mumbai. Here, I would like to mention that ma'am is a gold medalist in MCom, done company secretary, MBA in finance in 2013 from Punjab Technical University and PhD in Commerce from SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Ma'am has enriched experience of total 22 years. Currently, ma'am is a professor and HOD of Commerce, University of Mumbai since 2019 till today. Lastly, ma'am was the principal in SIS College of Commerce and Economics. Ma'am is also a PhD guide in accountancy, recognized MPhil guide in the Department of Commerce. Ma'am is also the recognized postgraduate teacher in accountancy in the University of Mumbai. As per academic level is concerned, ma'am has been special invitee nominated by Honorable Vice Chancellor, Faculty of Commerce and Management of MPU Act, Dr. Homi Bhabha State University, Mumbai. Member of Research Recognition Committee formed under Dr. Homi Bhabha State University, Mumbai. Member of Board of Studies in Cost and Management Account. Also the chairperson, Board of Studies in Banking and Finance and member of many prestigious institutions in the University of Mumbai. As per the awards and testimonial applauds are concerned, just to name a few, ma'am has been awarded by the University of Mumbai, SHRI MA Master Memorial Gold Medal, Golden Jubilee Trust Gold Medal, First Rank Certificate in MCOM, College Endowment Award. As per the teaching awards are concerned, ma'am is the recipient of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Teaching Excellence in 2018. Also a recipient of Shiksha Ratna Puruskar for meritorious performance in teaching. Ma'am has completed many minor research projects under the University of Mumbai. Ma'am has chaired many sessions at the international and national level conferences. Ma'am has been the resource person at about 115 workshops, seminars, and FTPs. So these are just few. I'm very happy to invite ma'am. Hearty welcome, ma'am, in this one day in online international conference. Now, I request ma'am to kindly share with us words of wisdom and enlighten us with your ocean of knowledge. Over to you, ma'am.
Welcome, respected Dr. Kinnari Thakkar Madam, University of Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Kinnari Thakkar Madam, please continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Would you like to use your PPT to upload?
Sir, I'm sharing my PPT. 1 second. I'm just doing that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Visible, madam.
Visible? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it should be maximum. It is minimum.
You know, sir, I'm doing that. 1 minute.
Here.
Yeah, I'm doing.
Yeah.
Today I'm little slow, sir. I will take time.
No, I
I'm
know,
not
madam.
allowed. I'm not
Visible,
allowed to move
visible.
fast.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, good afternoon to everyone, and happy to see all the speakers once again here. Janice, madam, always pleasure to listen to you, and always a pleasure to be a part of the programs which are organized by Waghmare and Sons, especially Kishore Waghmare sir. And I think personally know the college, SK College also very well, almost all of them, those who are, the faculty members. So nice to meet all of you on this platform. Let me directly start with the little, research proposal. Some kind of information which I want to share with all of you, especially why today actually I was going to take a topic which was based basically on philosophy. But recently I had I was an expert for 4 colleges, research advisory committee, and wherein you select a topic and the students are expected to do presentation on how a topic has to be selected and what is the process of the entire preparation of a research proposal. And almost all, barring 1 or 2 who must have done MPhil 2-3 years back, were completely raw. Right, even from framing of title, there is a lot of ambiguity in understanding how the title needs to be framed. So I thought that maybe on this platform, first I will share most of them, those who are a part of these research methodology workshops or the conferences which are based on research methodology. They are not very clear about framing of the process of the research, right from the framing of title to all the various steps which one needs to follow. So then I said, Kishor's Waghmare sir, that I think, after all these experiences which I had in the past 15 days, I feel I should go for how to write a research proposal rather than going for a high level of understanding of research topic, which is based on the philosophy, because philosophy is the third step to make the participants understand what is the research philosophy. For that, you should have a basic foundation of fundamental understanding of what you mean by research proposal. Only then you can, on the basis of that, you can apply a philosophy and then you can go for a framing of proposal. So that's the reason why I thought that this time I will start with the basic topic, like how to prepare a research proposal, which includes titles and which includes how to frame a research objective. Now, step by step, we'll try to understand what is the need of and the relevance of framing a title, which has to be so clear that just reading the title, the person who is going through your work, research work, the readers should be able to understand what are the expected contents of your research work. So the title clarity of the title is also very, very important. And when you are framing a title, what important points you should consider in your mind while framing the title. So I will start with the entire process, right from choosing of the topic till the time you complete the proposal. And in the proposal, what is the percentage of allocation number of, sometimes some guides say that the proposal has to be of these many pages. Some of them, they vary. Some feel that review of literature should be focused only just for 5 to 10 review is enough for framing, for writing in the proposal. So basically what is expected by a research
Hello.
potential researcher. Yes.
So sorry for disturb, madam. I would like to announce that Madam Kinnari Thakkar Madam lecture will end up to 1 o'clock afternoon. 1 to 2 it will be the break time, because of technical session. Break time is 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. After 2 p.m. the technical session will be start. Thank you, madam. Sorry for disturbing. Thank you.
Yeah. So how to choose the topic? We will start with one. Yeah. So we will start with the clarity which you need and the focus which you should have while you are choosing a topic. First of all, not preparing a title, choosing a topic. Clarity needs to be there for choosing. Whenever you are choosing a topic, a lot of interactions you do with your guide, with your peer group, and you also see a lot of work which has been published earlier, which is related to your area. And at times there's a lot of confusion that if I am a banking student, should I go for commerce or business management, or should I go for I have to just pause.
Hello, Thakkar madam. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thakkar madam, are you there?
I guess Thakkar madam not there, sir.
I am there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm there. There was a, 1 second switch off the power here. So that's the reason
No problem. Please
I
continue.
switched it on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So uh, I was discussing about there's a lot of interactions which you do while you decide a title. And at times what you have done post-graduation in some topic, some optional group. Like, for example, you have done it in accountancy, but your PhD interest may not be only for accountancy. Your PhD interest may be for finance, maybe for banking, maybe for management, or vice versa, whatever. So do not get confused when you want to choose a topic. The faculty, which is as per the UGC, is Faculty of Commerce and Management. So you are allowed to choose any topic which is related to commerce and management. Only that you have to undergo certain, aptitude test. If you are changing your faculty, say, or maybe you are changing your subject which you have opted for as an optional group in your post-graduation course, and now you want to do PhD in altogether a different subject. Maybe you are working, say you're working in banks, and you must have done your optional group as MCOM with business management. But now, since you've been working with banks, you feel that I want to pursue PhD under that subject. So there's nothing which is not nothing which is discouraged by our university, any of the university for that matter. So always do not go by what exactly the rules and regulations, and strictly there is no strict rules and regulations. You always choose a topic wherein you have a lot of work experience, in case you have been working for any corporate sector. If you have been teaching something, and your teaching interest also is different from what you have done in the post-graduation optional group, you can also go for any topic which is within your teaching interest. So basically what I'm trying to say, that especially now, all the doors are very wide open for any of the optional groups. There is no restrictions. So therefore choose a topic only which you feel that you can go ahead with for 3 years. Minimum 3 years is the time limit within which your topic has to be done. So you should be delving deeper and deeper into that topic. So accordingly, a topic which has been enforced upon you by anybody, or which has been you at times you feel is very uncommon, but still you want to pursue, but your mind, your clarity and your interest is tilted towards that topic, always choose that topic. So that's what is the first step. Once that clarity of selecting a topic of your choice is there, that means half of the work is you are already prepared. You already set for doing hard work and pursuing your research work. Second part is the attitude towards the topic. That will determine the amount of effort and enthusiasm you put into your research. Also, remember that you should focus on a limited aspect. Now, when I say limited aspect, it purely depends on which stage of your research you are pursuing. If you are pursuing MPhil dissertation, which is now I think not allowed in many universities, but if you are pursuing in certain universities, you have post-graduation by research. In our university, we have post-graduation by papers, but in so many universities, they also have opted for post-graduation by research. So if you are doing something like post-graduation by research, then you can opt for a topic which has that time the timeline which will be given to you will be only 1 year. So within that 1 year, you will have to complete your work. So that is why focus on a topic which you are able to wind up and come out with a relevant social conclusions within that period of time. Do not keep on extending your topic, which wherein data requirement, collection of data is a difficult task, and then you end up extending your 1 year for completing your research work. That's the reason why focus on a limited aspect. If you are pursuing PhD, then also you have 3 years. So, and for PhD, remember, and you accept, all of us should accept the fact that we don't get any funding for PhD, but we have to put in our own efforts, physical, mental, and monetary, everything for pursuing that. So again, you keep in mind that everything is limited, your physical efforts, because you're not going to get a full-time off from your workplace. You have to balance both your work, your personal and your research work. So try to select a topic which you feel is 3 years maximum. When you have 3 years, you try for a topic where you will be able to finish in 2 years, 2.5 years, that kind of topic. Now, how to do that? That again is a question mark. Like, it's very easy to say. I'm saying that now you try to do. For example, when you are collecting data, now if you are choosing a topic for wherein you start a topic, say for finding out the financial literacy, okay, or you do a topic wherein you want to know about the customers' preferences, perception about of virtual blended mode of learning and the physical one-to-one, where face-to-face mode of learning. If you want to do that, you try to select. In both these cases, you will have primary data requirement. So whenever there is a primary data requirement, automatically you will choose a year, the period when you are doing PhD. During that period, you will prepare a questionnaire and you will go for survey analysis. So in that, those topics where basically primary data becomes very important, in those topics, your focus automatically will be limited to the number of the sample and the area from which you are planning to select the sample. But if you are doing research which is on a secondary database, especially which is published data from government sources, like if you are doing on so many government schemes have come, okay, this Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana is there, then this medicines which they are distributing, then the cooking gas, the cooking gas which they have distributed. So if you are finding out the impact of all these yojanas on the and the success of all these kind of yojanas which are implemented, which is related to government. The government is also giving so many agricultural, so many schemes, which is for growth in agriculture. And they have so many schemes which are given to students, for say category students for pursuing their PhDs and for pursuing their studies. Like you have this Samaj Kalyan and all, where scholarships are given. So when you are doing a topic of all such things, wherein primary data is not much required, but secondary data, like if you want to do on corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, obviously all these topics, you will not have a possibility of preparing a primary source of information or data. You will have to rely on a secondary published data of the company of which you are choosing for corporate social responsibility. If you are doing technical analysis, fundamental analysis, stock analysis, movement of stock, okay, then performance of companies. Again, here, primary data will not have much role. Secondary data will play an important role. Now, wherever secondary data plays an important role, if I am to start a topic now, say in the year 2023, and expecting my timeline is 2026. So by 2026, I need to complete my research work. So which data period, the collection of secondary data, which period I should choose for collection of secondary data? That is a very, very important point, relevant point, which has been discussed in almost all the forums where a topic selection, topic approval, meeting and interaction is going on. We have a research advisory committee, which we have research recognition committee. In all these committees, your research proposals are thoroughly studied thoroughly discussed, and then the time limit, the geographical limit, the duration, the time period within which your data will be collected, all this is carefully read. So that time you should be in such a, your proposal should have such a clarity, and your data should be already published on public forum, on websites, or by the time your work, actual work, say till the time review of literature, maybe within 6 months, all these data will definitely be published. If you have that surety, only then you take those years. For government, you see, we are always behind 4 to 5 years. If today you go and take the data for the year 2022, you will not be able to get the data for the year 2022 very easily on the government website, because the process is very slow. So accordingly, if I am to register in the year in the month of April 2023, my study area should not go beyond 2023. My study area, the time period, the duration which I am choosing should be, say, between 20, 21, 22, these 4 years. If you are going beyond 23 and within the 3-4 years, if the data is not published, you are stuck up, and obviously you will have to extend your work till the time you have to keep on waiting for the data to be published. So that point, I think most of the students who have registered in for the new potential researchers who have registered, who have tried to come out with a new proposal topic, their confusion was which time, area, and duration we have to select. So that's what I wanted to convey, that if it is primary, then you will not have a problem. But if it is secondary, if it is a corporate publication, and if you are starting, say, 2023 April, you can take 22 to 25 for corporate publications, secondary data. Because corporate offices like Big Five and Tata, corporate social responsibility or CSR of Tata, and also other companies, Infosys, which they are doing, they regularly keep on publishing their information. So for them, the year in which you are registering plus 1 or 2 years, plus 1, maybe you can choose a time period till 2024, the year which you are registering plus 1 year. But for government, you do minus 1 year. Beyond 4-5 years if you are selecting. So 23 if you are publishing till 22. Until 22 you go back. 3 years you want, 4 years you want, 5 years you want, that you choose. So that means 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 if you want 5 years. So that you remember, depending on what is the topic. So I hope that point you all are clear about the time period and the duration. Why I'm specifying and emphasizing so much in this, because right now, if you are doing PhD in our universities and in majority of the universities, primary data is given a lot of importance for completing PhD. But just now I have one paper which is accepted for the publication in Scopus and Web of Science kind of thing. They do not like primary data much, many of the time. Many of the time, the topic, the theme which they have, they prefer secondary data. And when they prefer secondary data, you have to ensure that your secondary data collection duration has to be very carefully selected. So that is the reason why I was emphasizing more on making you understand the need for choosing the correct time duration of your research work. Then select a subject which you can manage. Avoid subjects that are technical, specialized, learn. This will be while you are doing your research work, which is from not funding. If you're doing too technical and specialized study, and if you are not having any funds, then you will get little more time you will require, and many of the times it will happen that you will not be able to collect proper information. But if you are doing a project funded by ICSSR or any other funding agency, then you should always go for specialized, technical, and a very, very selective kind of topic, which has a very social relevance and acceptance, and the outcome is used for decision making, policy decision. So in that case, you should go for this type of research work. Avoid topics that have a narrow range of source material. This also, I will say, purely depends on which topic you have identified. At times, the source availability is very narrow, but there are related exact topics you will not have, but peripheral topics you are able to gather information. Then you should go for topics, even though there is a narrow source of material, but you feel that the topic has a lot of relevance, then you should go. For example, implementation of business intelligence in accountancy system. In corporate sector, many companies are implementing business intelligence. They have already they use business intelligence for their entire accounting system, but small companies are not able to use that. Okay, so there may be not too much of work which is available for in that case. So you have to avoid that topics. The need and purpose of preparation of research proposal. Why a research proposal is required to be prepared? A research proposal is a document that provides a detailed proposal of the intended program. It will help you to navigate in the right direction, and like an outline plan of the research work, you'll have to, prepare the entire plan on the basis of which you will you will go and move ahead and progress in the research work. The purpose basically is to convince others that you have conceived an idea for which a systematic plan is prepared and a time frame is set to accomplish the work. Now, the most important topic which I feel you should understand is how you are supposed to frame a title. You have decided a topic, you have decided the broad area in which you are working, and now you need to frame a proper title. A title should be such that reading the title, the readers should be able to understand that what are the expected contents from that published research work. So a title should summarize the main idea of the study. It should be concise, informative, and should be able to convey the purpose of the research. It should give a clear indication of the purpose and scope of the research. Now, if you read this title, which I have framed as an example, the title goes like this: a study on extent of financial inclusion in Maharashtra state with reference to Konkan division. Now, if you read this title, anyone who is reading this title, is it possible for you to understand what is the purpose of this study? Is it, is the title giving you a clarity of what this study will be? To a considerable extent, yes. You will be able to at least try to find, you'll be able to understand that this title has this book, this published research has something which is related to financial inclusion. And it is related to Maharashtra state and focusing on Konkan division. So this is what the entire published research work is all about. But this entire statement, if you see, I have used two different colors for writing the title. The red color means the words which I have written in red color, it means that every person who is, I think 50 participants I can see here right now, every 50 participant reading this will understand this in the same way. means there will be no second interpretation of any verb. If I say study, everybody will know that there is some study. If I say Maharashtra state, so all 50 participants will understand that there is something which is in the Maharashtra state. And there is something which is related to Konkan division. Now, if I say the word extent, the word extent means what? The word extent, all 50 of you will have a different understanding. Everybody will understand it in that in its own way. When I say financial inclusion, everybody knows that financial inclusion means there has to be all the population which is selected should be financially included. But financial inclusion has a technical definition. It is not a definition which we all can interpret in our own ways. It has a technical definition. So, as a researcher, my intention should be that when I use the word extent, I have to make my readers clearly understand that by using the term extent, what I am trying to interpret. When I say financial inclusion, what are the parameters, what are the variables which are defined by the state, by this term financial inclusion? Now, these variables and parameters may not be all inclusive. What I mean to say is, if you are referring or reading any term like the definition of financial inclusion, which is published by the government on the government website in the government documents. If you are reading the term financial inclusion, they have financial inclusion means this, say 5 to 10 parameters they have set. That it means everybody should have bank account, everybody should have balance, and they should have been operating the bank accounts. All the persons in the selected area should have the knowledge of financial avenues which are available. All the persons should be investing in the financial revenues which are available by proper understanding, not just blindly. Other than FDs, what are the different new innovative avenues available? All the population should be able to have, should be having knowledge of that. So these are the parameters identified for considering a state or a area, a region to be financially included. Now, these are the parameters which are defined under the government website in the technical definition. But it does not mean that a researcher has to use all these 10 definite parameters. The researcher can select only few of them, which is applicable for their particular division. See, government publications are based on the full national level information. So government will publish on the basis of what they parameters they have identified from all over India, pan-India level. But it does not mean that those pan-India level parameters can be fitted, can be used for Konkan division, for Maharashtra state. So you have to identify that for Konkan division, for Maharashtra state, which parameters are most suitable. And those parameters you will have to select and consider for your research work. Say, I will select number of bank accounts, knowledge of avenues which are available for the investment avenues, awareness and knowledge amongst the selected sample. And 2-3 other types of parameters I may select. This selection of parameters and writing it in your research methodology is called as operational definition. So when I say operational definition, I have to write the operational definition for all those terms wherein the interpretation varies from person to person. For extent, the term extent, interpretation will vary from each reader, one reader to another reader. So each reader will understand this the word extent in a different way. So as a researcher, I have to define what do you mean by extent. every reader will have ambiguity in understanding what is the meaning of financial inclusion, the core and technical meaning of financial inclusion. So as a reader, I will have to, as a researcher, I will have to convey to the readers that financial inclusion means point number one, point number two. And this clarification, this clarity, which I'm giving in my research work, that is called as operational definitions. So majority of good research work can never be complete unless an operational definition, proper operational definition has been written by the reader. Operational definition gives all the readers proper understanding of entire research work. It gives clarity. It there is no ambiguity while your research work is being read, and at the same time the scope of citation and the scope of using your work in as a review of literature, that becomes higher. So that is the reason. See, you are doing something which benefits and which gives clarity to others. So others will be willing to quote you in their research work. So that is the reason why these two terms, that is operational definition, becomes very important for any terms which is a part of your research title. Now, what is the structure of the research proposal? Your research proposal should have introduction, brief profile, review of literature, the problem of the study, the objectives of the study, the hypothesis of the study, the research methodology, limitations, significance, and chapter schemes. So these are everything which you have to incorporate in the research proposal. And of course, references. So what all should be written while you are writing introduction? While writing introduction, subject background, topic background, what motivated you for selecting the problem, the broad framework and overview of the problem, the need for this research, what is the research gap, why you are doing this research work. You have to very, very clearly specify that. The theoretical conceptual framework, if you need to be more more specific in your research work, if you feel your research work, the entire work which you have you're trying to do, you need to convey it to your readers in a very systematic way. Then you should also write for your conceptual and or a theoretical framework, whichever is a part of your research. Now, conceptual and theoretical framework again is one full session. If you actually try to go into detail about what you want to write for a conceptual framework or a theoretical framework, that's again a full detailed understanding of how these both are to be written. And then the statement of problem. Now, I will give you an example of when you can just read this again, once again, when I mentioned extent of financial inclusion. I've written here extent of financial. So you can just understand, I need to define financial inclusion. So I will now also tell you that when I define some, write an operational definition, how do I write that? So now when I say a financial, what I'm going to do research on financial inclusion, that means I have to mention financial inclusion according to the researcher means and includes understanding the financial literacy, understanding the usage of financial products, and finding out the bank account holdings. So as I said, there are 10 parameters which are given by the government on and other published sources. Like, do not strict only by Indian government. There are so many publications which are also done by the other countries on financial inclusion. So they also have their own parameters. But what I am trying to analyze in my Konkan division is, I want to do three things: literacy, check the products usage, That means which type of financial products are more often used by the Konkan division and state. Now, here again, see, if you're going to an urban area and if you're going to a rural area, the questionnaire will completely change. If you're going to a rural area and if you're trying to find a question, are you aware of cryptocurrency? Do you, invest in cryptocurrency? So obviously, such kind of products you should not try to incorporate for asking questions. So you should be asking questions of the popular financial products which they are using. But whether they have knowledge of other products, that is a financial literacy. Whether they have knowledge and information of other products, but what are the usage? So these two, there are thin line differences between at times between certain statements and certain information which you are trying to gather. And then how many of them they have bank accounts, whether the bank accounts are operating, how they are operating that, either nowadays through mobile banking or through other sources, internet banking, or they physically go and visit the bank branches wherever they need money to withdraw and to deposit, whatever. So these are the different questions which you can ask. So basically, my purpose right now is not to focus on financial inclusion. My purpose is to make you understand that in a title, how you can make separate or how you can define and give more clarity to the readers of any topic or title which you are choosing by writing operational definition in a very, very clear way. So now the reader will be not confused. The reader knows that these are the three questions. These are the three variables on the basis of which the questionnaires will be prepared, survey will be done, and the conclusions would have been derived. Then I need to also explain about operational definition of extent. So I'm not reading this now. I'm just telling you that extent was one term where I need to define, give an operational definition. So this is how I have given an operational definition of what do we mean by extent. You identify the trend, you find out the disparity, you find out the relationship between two different variables. So that is how you are defining extent. Then your next topic will be to write on what is your brief profile for the study. That is the demographic, the occupational and the cultural features related to your area. If you have selected a particular geographical area, then all information, important information, relevant information related to the profile. Then also, like here we are choosing Konkan division. So you can write information about what is Maharashtra state, how many divisions the state has, why Konkan division, why do you find that choosing your Konkan division was a better option than other divisions. Do not always say that it was convenience because I reside in that area, I have, family in that area, I have connections in that area. You try to give out some logical and good reason for choosing any division. Many times in Viva was also, I have seen that I have family members who could easily provide me guidance, and that's why I chose this division. Let it be. That may be the reason. That's nothing wrong in that. But when you face your interview, you try to show that, there's some more important reason for choosing this particular division rather than just being a family who could help you. Because there are family members who can help you in so many things, but your research work, should not be connected with those kind of reasons of choosing a topic. Okay, so this is how your profile should be portrayed and written in black and white, and you justify the reason for choosing a very good and a reason which is convincing for choosing a particular division or a particular geographical area. Now, review of literature. The another third step when you come across will be what all books, how many books, whether research papers, whether articles, whether websites, what all I need to review when I have to write identify my research gap, and on the basis of for identifying that gap, I need to review a lot of literature. So which all type of literature should be reviewed? And what do you mean by review of existing literature? It is to know already what is already known about the idea. Okay, why do you do review of literature? Basically to find out the gap. So when you find out the gap, you should know that what is already known to everyone, what is already published, and therefore that you do not repeat the same as the gap. So you have to basically find out what is already published, what are the concepts, what are the research methods which are adopted by the earlier public researchers whose work has been published. Do you find that there are some inconsistencies? Even if you find, you do not have to portray it in a negative way. You can just say that this was the gap which I found, and therefore I'm trying to fill this gap by incorporating certain questions which I found was unanswered. So if there are any unanswered research questions, you're trying to fill up the gap. So that's the reason how you can justify your research gap by reviewing the literature. Now, which literature should be reviewed? That I will try to focus. I think here I may not have that, which literature to review. But I will tell you that there is something which may directly be related to your research work. So if there are studies which are done on financial literacy already, but in certain other areas, then all that work which has been done on financial literacy, that I will try to review. There are certain close concepts which are not typical financial literacy, but which are related to that. Okay, financial inclusion, which are related to that. So not directly connected. So indirectly related to your review, to your literature. Those topics also you can try to review. So there's no hard and fast rule that you have to review only the topics, only the works, only the studies which has been conducted in your core research area. There are so many relevant topics which are not exactly your core, but it may be connected remotely to the topic. Those review also, those literatures also you can review. So next we go to the scope of the study. Here you have to identify what is the boundaries of the work. Scope means what? Scope can be related to geographic, scope can be related to the number of years, and scope can be related to a particular gender as well. So suppose if you want to do only the female literacy, financial literacy, which is prevalent in the female in a particular area. So your scope can be, your gender scope as per the gender will be only the investment decision making or the involvement in making decisions, the female involvement in making decisions related to finance. So if you are doing some topic related to this, then your gender will be limited to only female samples. Your area may be, geographical area may be limited to say Konkan division if you have identified that. And if you want to do it on a primary based information, then there is no need to take number of years. Then your data will be collected by survey, by questionnaire through survey. So that time there will be no number of years. But if when you are doing secondary information data, then you will have to restrict it for the number of years. Then objectives, framing of objective, title, objective, and hypothesis has to be synced. If you are writing a title and if you are writing an objective which does not sync and which does not match with your title well, then you will not, your work is not considered as an important, complete and a good level of work. So now I will, with the same example, explain you what do you mean by objectives and how do you frame objectives considering the title. Objectives what? A research objective is a clear, concise, declarative statement which provides direction to investigate the variables. Okay, these all theory, blah, blah, you must have already studied. But my main focus is not to tell you what all objectives is. My main focus is to make you frame the objective immediately, right now, with the title which we have selected. So generally, but I'm just skimming through these slides. Generally, research objective focus on the ways to measure the variables, such as to identify or describe them. Sometimes objectives are directed towards identifying the relationship. A well-worded objective will be SMART. That means it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, I will tell you just one or two examples how an objective has to be framed. So here our topic is financial inclusion and Konkan division. Okay, you are identifying. So your framing, while framing the objective, you have to mention both these very, very clearly and distinctly. So here I am writing to identify the existence of significant difference in the level of financial inclusion amongst the districts in Konkan division. So again, I'll go through my title. What was my title? To identify, to study the extent of financial inclusion in the Konkan division. So in Konkan division, there are so many districts. So I can focus on, in Konkan division, there are say 5 districts, just a number, 5 districts. So how within these 5 districts, what is the financial inclusion level? Okay, means whether there are bank accounts, whether there is a usage of financial products, and whether there is a financial literacy. These 3 points I need to check and prepare primary info data for these 3 questions on, for each 5 districts of Konkan division. So I'm getting good amount of data. So what's the objective? The level of financial inclusion amongst the district. This is the one objective. Is the objective achievable? Is it possible for you to go collect data? So objective is achievable. So objective should fit in that SMART. It has to be achievable. Okay, unless it has to be specific. Specific may it is there. My specific angle is, my specific area is Konkan division. Konkan division existing hai. Konkan division ke andar 5 districts hai. That is also specific. 3 questions, 3 objectives I have to, frame questions for. Banking, number of bank accounts. Okay. Financial products usage is there or no, and financial literacy. So all these are specific, measurable, achievable within the time period I'll be able to do. So if the objectives are not fitting into all the SMART category, then the objective will never be able to, you will never be able to draw conclusion from such objective. So even if you are framing an objective which is weird, which is not having an achievable or measurable statement, then you will not be able to draw conclusion. There will be ambiguous, vague, and not relevant conclusion. So that you should try to avoid. Next is to establish correlationship between the level of financial literacy and usage of financial products. So here I am trying to establish correlationship. So this is another objective. So once again, I will tell you, see, when I say SMART, how do I include my objectives into this definition of being SMART? Specific. So my objective, my research is very specific. It is on financial inclusion in Konkan division. Very clear area I have identified. It is measurable. So I am able to measure the level. How I am able to measure? Already in a definition I have given. Bank account holdings. If you go and ask whether you have bank or you don't have bank, either they'll say yes or they'll say no. Okay. Then what are the financial products which you do you have awareness or understanding about? Do you invest in any financial products? Measurable. I'll be able to gather information. Financial literacy. I will set some parameters. I will ask questions. Strongly agree. Now again, there is sometimes a question mark whether 5-point Likert scale or 7-point Likert scale should be used. 7-point becomes too vast, and there are very thin line of clarity in 7-point. 5 points Likert scale many times gives more clarity in terms of understanding. So majority of the time, try to avoid 7-point. Try to go for 5-point Likert scale whenever you are asking questions where you have answers in strongly agree, disagree, etc. These points. So it is measurable, attainable. I'm finding out the differences. My geographical limit is set. So the objective is attainable and realistic. I'm doing something wherein I can go and visit. I'm doing something which I can easily ask question and identify. So it is realistic, achievable. So you try to keep all these points in mind before you try to select a topic and frame a title. And time bound. Time bound, I earlier also I have explained in primary data topics, time bound, there is not much requirement because you are going to ask question actually once your PhD research work is started. But wherever your research is based on secondary, depending on which is the topic and depending on what publication source and data which you are choosing, depending on that, you have to select the number of years. I will just remind you that if it is government, do not go for beyond. If your registration starts in the year 23, do not go more beyond the 23 year. You go backside, -1. But if it is a corporate publication based CSR or corporate governance and all these and financial reports, if you are analyzing, then you can go +1 after the date of your registration. Because availability of data for corporate is at most of the times, on the websites easily available compared to the government data and publications. Now for framing an objective, these are the standard terms which you have to use before you frame an objective. Like you have to, either you can use to determine, to evaluate, to compare, to measure, to analyze, to project the difference, to examine. You can just go through this again, all this. Now today, I'll also tell you one thing, that next time when we meet, I will tell you when you use these terms like analyze, project, examine, these terms are typically backed by our research philosophy. You cannot use the word study if you are using one kind of research philosophy. It all purely depends on which terms to use, on the basis of which philosophy you have identified for your research work. That is then another entire different concept. So anytime, whenever next possible for us to interact, I will try to take a topic on research philosophy and link this framing of objectives with the research philosophy topic. Then hypothesis, I will not spend much time here. I will only tell you with an example that first of all, what is an hypothesis? It is some tentative statement and assumption which you make in your topic. Okay, the tentative statement, either you have to prove it right, or you have to accept it, or you fail to accept it. You have to reject that. And that has to be in sync with your research title as well as the research objective. So here I will write hypothesis like, there is a significant disparity in the level of financial inclusion amongst the district in Konkan division. So this is what I will try to, this is the hypothesis which I'll try to frame. Here, all the terms which are related to your title and which are related to the objective, that must be included. Then next is research methodology. Again, methodology, you can use statistical tools, you can use econometric tools, and you can use various other, Nowadays you have softwares like for structural equation modeling, PLS you have, then you have e-views, and there are so many softwares which are available for you analyzing your primary as well as your secondary data. So in research methodology, you need to also mention about what are the statistical tools, techniques which you are going to use for your research work, as well as what kind of information you are going to gather, what will be your sampling size, what will be your sampling, the geographical, the scope, the area from which your sample will be collected, what kind of sampling techniques you are going to use, stratified, random, convenience, snowball, what are the different techniques you are going to use, that you will have to mention in the entire research methodology. So it will be, including the research methodology will be including the entire framework of how your research, technical part of your research work will be undertaken. And next point which you have to mention in the proposal is limitation. Now limitation, I will read this first and then I will show you how do you portray the limitations of your study. And what are the mistakes which are often made while students, while researchers, when they are writing limitations. Limitations of your study. It must show the limitations and the reasons thereof. The limitations must be such that it should convince the reader that in spite of your sincere and full-hearted research effort, certain problems remain unsolved. I mean, you are not here to solve all the problems. You are exploring. There are certain research which are exploratory research. So you are just giving the outcomes, suggestions, and findings. Okay. You may not be able to cover entire geographical wide range or scope because of your limited availability of time and limited and because of your timeline which is provided to complete the research work. The research also indicate the scope of, this may also indicate the scope for further research. Now, in the title which I have taken for the example, for writing limitations, you see in a very, very good language, good English, you should write what is a limitation. So we have chosen only 3 parameters. Okay, we have chosen bank holdings, usage of financial products, and we have chosen financial literacy. But how many parameters are there? How many variables are there in the normal definition of financial inclusion? 10. But we have chosen only 3. But that doesn't mean that our work is not good, or that doesn't mean that we have done incomplete work. So we have to specify that the term financial inclusion is an exhaustive term with varied interpretations. But to draw apt conclusion, the term was briefly understood to the operational definitions adopted by the study. So here what we are trying to say, that I have selected 3 variables because it was apt for making conclusion. Only these 3 variables or these 3 parameters which I have identified, these were apt for my Konkan division. That is why I have chosen only these 3. But otherwise the term is exhaustive. The definition is exhaustive. But all the parameters may not fit into my definition, and therefore I have restricted myself only to this. The study is restricted to rural and slum areas of Konkan division, and it was only for scheduled commercial banks. So we are not including any other cooperative banks or private banks and etc. for identifying the number of bank account holdings. You know why again? There may not be existence of these banks in that particular area. That is why we have chosen only, see, there is only 1 or 2 private sector banks. There's no point in including those in the study area. So that's why we are doing this. Then the role of microfinance institutions, cooperative societies, and other sources are not considered. Do you think there is any negative portrayal of what work which you are unable to do in this? So this is the proper way of writing your limitation. You do not write that I am including only this. I am including the definition. Last week, I had gone through one pre-thesis, presentation, and they had given the list of limitations. So in the limitations, it was written that this part of the study, this part of the work is not included. But you don't have to mention all the time that this is not included. I have included only Konkan division. I have excluded other division. Limitations does not mean that. Limitations means you try to convey that this is most suitable in the area which you have identified. And that's why these definitions are restricted, only these variables, and the other variables are excluded. So you try to put it in a positive way that your definition, your understanding is restricted to this because it is most suitable for, and these variables are most suitable to your area. This is what you have to mention in the limitation. And significance, I think you all know what is the significance of the study. You have to mention why you have done that, and why only this section, and what will be the benefit of that, socially relevance and social benefit of the study, your research for the society. Chapter schemes, that is also you have to mention in the research proposal. Most of the universities, they go for 5 or 6 chapters maximum, which contents, first is introduction, review of literature, then the profile. If you have geographical area, then you have profile of the area. If you don't have any geographical area, then you can skip this. The third chapter will be research methodology, then data analysis, interpretation. Instead of that, you can have some more flowery words and statements like empirical investigation and analysis of data, and then finding, conclusion, recommendation. And the last point which I would like to explain is, when you are preparing a research proposal, not the synopsis, the proposal, you can balance the content by, incorporating 25% of your research work which you are going to do should be related to the introduction part. You should be able to introduce the topic very, very convincingly. So more proportion you devote for introduction, very few amount for your research area. Review of literature, around 15% of your content should form review of literature. Problem scope, very important, but not, too much of length should not be written in length. Therefore, 5% of the content should be for scope and every problem. Objective, very important. Hypothesis, important. And research methodology. All three, 10% should be given. Limitations also, just half a page, 5% of the content for limitations. Similarly for significance, chapter scheme, and for references. So this is how you need to balance your content in a research proposal. So I think with this, I'd like to end with the presentation, and the forum is now open for question answers. And all the best to all of you, and best wishes for your pursuit, for your future endeavors and pursuing your research work. Kishore sir, you can take over.
Thank you for outstanding lecture. Dear participation, do you have some question regarding Kinnari Thakkar madam's lecture? Nutan Lokande, do you want ask some question?
Yes, sir, yes.
Please continue.
Kinnari ma'am, I need to
yes.
ask that what do you mean by the technical research?
Technical research, in our regular term, you don't have, in our normal PhD here, we don't have too much of technical research here. Again, when I said that when there is a fundamental technical research, you are asking in terms of the broad area of research?
Yes,
or you
ma'am.
are, yeah. So the technical research will be typically based on a very narrow concept. You just have to focus on one particular narrow problem statement which you have chosen, and you have to get a very, very in-depth, dig deeper and get a solution for that particular question, problem statement which you have identified. It is not a broad or a generalized conclusion. Like if you are taking a topic specifically, say preferences of offline versus online mode of instruction. There's a very general topic. There is no technical conclusions which you can derive on certain topic. It's not having a very detailed problem statement. So normally when we are doing all this research work is very general and overview kind of research work which we are doing. So exactly in contrast to that, what you are doing to find a solution of a particular problem, that will be your technical research which you are doing.
Okay, ma'am. But suppose if in a research proposal, can I do the means I can read an article and I can find out from the limitation what can be the possible problems can come in the near future to make my research proposal.
Can you please repeat again?
Ma'am, can I, for my research paper, can I read the articles which are published in the journals?
100% you can.
So I can means read that limitations and come to a conclusion to make my research proposal topic.
Yes. It all depends on how you are able to portray yourself, your question, your statement of problem, and convince the person to whom, the funding agency or the university to whom you are writing this proposal.
Okay, ma'am. And one more question, ma'am. I am just keen interest to have a research project or research proposal rather to do my PhD work on electric vehicle.
Yeah, 100. It's a very good topic.
So, ma'am, okay, I'll just search it on deeper sections and then I'll let you know about that.
100%. Most welcome.
Okay.
You
Thank
know
you, ma'am.
also
Thank you so much.
where my office is.
Ma'am, your presentation was wonderful and it was to the point and precise. I liked your presentation very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nutan. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dear participant, another person, do you have some question regarding
Hello.
Kinnari Thakkar madam?
Sir, I'm audible now.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have one small doubt about the technical research.
Yeah.
If we get the accurate result, ma'am, in this research, if we get the accuracy of the result, if it is possible to get the accuracy?
In social sciences, not very accurate. Okay. But 90%, yes, sir. 90%.
Because of, madam, technical research, technology is an updated version by day to day.
Yeah,
That's why I'm asking the
absolutely.
question.
Yeah.
We
In
get the
social science, very
2020
rare.
data, it will be variable on the 2027 onwards.
That's what in social sciences, it will not be so accurate. But it's not that you can completely ignore the outcome of that. The outcome will still be very relevant.
One thing we do that then, we can access the 2023 data. We can mention that we are accessing the data from the year of 2023. Yeah. Is one of the solution, it's possible to the technical research?
So that's the reason when we are changing, when we are writing the limitation, we are writing that this work is restricted to the findings, to the data collected on this particular area. Okay, there can be the conclusions can vary from geographic as well as from other, cultural differences. Due to cultural, geographic and technology differences, the conclusions can vary. That we have to mention in the limitation.
It's not a matter of geography, ma'am. We get the matter of the data.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because of geographical areas, there is no issues about that variations. But the variation is regarding about the data, madam.
Even geographical, there are variations, no, sir?
Yeah, but it's geographical variation is not the biggest thing in technical research. Because data variation is the biggest thing, ma'am.
Yeah. Data variation is the most important. And that's the reason the conclusion may not remain the same.
Yeah. Okay, madam. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I get my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, sir? Kishore, sir?
Dear participant, have some question? Dear participants, do you have some question? I think so. There is no any question. I would like to thank on behalf of SK College, behalf of SHRI Waghmare Brothers Private Event Management Company for you to deliver outstanding lecture. knowledgeable session. Hope so. The participants have received talent, some knowledge from your lecture. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Take care, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now I have to immediately leave. Yeah.
No problem. Sapna madam, Sapna Sharma madam,
Yes, sir.
whether I have to take the break of 1 hour or the
Right, sir.
other we just continue.
Sir, we can take a break for 1 hour and then we can continue with the technical session.
No problem. The PPT session will be start 2 o'clock and 1 hour. That means 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. There is a lunch break. Therefore, please note it, all the participants. We will meet again. It will be continue this meeting, but PPT session will be start onward 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Please wait and please join again 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
सर कैसे हो?
आराम है साहब, आप कैसे है?
मजे में ना? बहुत दिन के बाद मिले।
हाँ। कैसे है? आराम है?
मजे में एकदम।
और क्या हाल है सर? ये 1 डे का अरेंज किया ना सर?
Yes, sir, yes. We are taking the break of 1 hour for lunch. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
sir. Okay,
you.
okay.